So let's do what is PM Awas Yojna all about, and let's see what has happened and why this issue has brought in the news. So the Andhra Pradesh government's decision to add the ruling YSR party imprint to union government's flagship rural housing scheme. And what is that? Pradhan Mantri Awas Gramin Yojna, and rebranded to Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojna YSR are proving costly for the state. And okay, so the state government is doing what is trying to imprint the central government's scheme by state government. Okay, so for that we should know about the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojna. What is the scheme all about? Okay, so let's begin. Now, firstly, the point is that why was this PM Awas Yojna need? This scheme was brought in. So, firstly, the scheme was brought in with an objective, and what was that objective? It was housing for all, and this housing for all was by 2022. Right. So now the point is that whether this scheme is of one of its own kind or it is first to be brought in. So no. Earlier also we had a scheme that was Indira Awas Yojana. Right? And it is similarly, this scheme was similar to Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, and Indira Awas Yojana is restructured to Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. Right. Now the point is that which ministry is involved in this scheme. So the ministry or the respective ministry that is involved is Ministry of Rural Development. Now when Ministry of Rural Development is involved in this, what is the aim? What is the purpose of this scheme, and why was it brought? Is the scheme beneficial, or the reason why we brought it is the reason being served or not? So let's study that. Now, if you see, the aim of the scheme was to provide, good housing facility to all. And in good housing facility, they had a criteria. And what was that criteria? The criteria was to provide a house with basic amenities. And that means the house should be, good one and with all basic amenities. And this, since it's Grami, that means this house will be provided to all rural families. And when it is provided to all rural families, that means who are homeless or living in dilapidated conditions. Fine. Now the point is who all are the beneficiaries of this scheme? Who all will get the benefit of the scheme? For example, people who are coming from influential background, or people who can, get an access to a house by themselves. Will those people be covered in this scheme? No. Then who all are going to be covered in this scheme? So the beneficiaries are people belonging to SC/STs, and in case of people who are not belonging from SC/STs but are in deep financial crisis, you can say, freed from bonded laborers or freed bonded laborers. Then widows, or you can say king of defense personas. Then you have ex-servicemen. Then you have retired members of paramilitary forces. Then you have disabled persons. Just a second. Just hold on for a second. So people coming from SC/ST communities, people who have just got freed from bonded labours, then widows of kings of defense personas, then you have ex-servicemen, then you have retired members of paramilitary forces, then you have disabled people, and apart from that you have disabled persons and minorities. Now, how? See, these are the people who will be the beneficiaries of the scheme, or who are the targeted ones. Fine. Now, how are you going to know that the people are coming from this background? Because if even they fulfill these criteria, and what if they are influential enough? So, how will the validation happen of these beneficiaries? So the problem is of validation. Now, the validation is coming from how? First you will have what socio-economic caste census. So based on this caste census, you will get to know. Then you have this Gram Sabha. Again, based on the Gram Sabhas, you will know that whether the person is coming from this background or not. Then you have geotagging. So all of them will do what? They will help in verification. Now, the point is that okay, since the news is saying that the fund has been stalled, or you can say the funds have been kept on hold. So when the funds are kept on hold, that means what? When the funds are kept in hold, it seems that center is providing certain fund. Now, since the state government is adamant to change the name, that means state government's role is also there. So, what does that mean? Now, this means that the cost sharing is between the central and the state government. So, what is going to happen? There is cost sharing between central and state. Now, if the cost sharing is between center and state, the point is that how is the cost being shared? So, when it comes to now, two plans are there. When it comes to your plain areas, And when it comes to hill areas, the sharing differs. So plain area is all about 60-40 share, and when it comes to hill areas, the share is about 90 is to 10. That means state government is going to contribute 10% and the central government is going to contribute 90%. And when it comes to plain areas, the center is going to contribute 60% and state is going to contribute 40%. So this is how the ratio should be. This is how the assistance is going to come from. Right? Okay. Now let's move on to the next article. Now, giving the urban Indian a better life. The theme of World Cities Day. Now, this World Cities Day was celebrated on October 31. This year was financing sustainable urban future for all. That means the World Cities Day. When did this World Cities Day happen to place? This was in October 31. And what was the theme? The theme was financing sustainable. Enhancing sustainable urban future for. Now, finances must be channeled in the right direction such that the urban futures which are being cut short on account of flawed urbanization are checked, and in turn, cities are made livable and safe. So, now, what is the reason behind it? So that the cities are made more livable and safe. Now, it is atrocious that air pollution is taking over 10% of our life expectancy. Now, this is according to the plan that has been kept in. So, a report released by the Energy Policy Institutes of Chicago, that is EPIC, shows that out of 50 most polluted cities in the world, 39 are in India. So, the EPIC is saying that out of 50, that means 39 cities. So it shows that 50 most polluted cities in the world, 39 are from India. So most polluted cities. 39 cities are coming from India. And pollution directly affects the health of the people, and an average Indian loses 5.3 years of his life expectancy due to this. For the residents of Delhi, it is 11.9 years. This data only highlights the need for policy shift. Why? To ensure better and livable futures. So the data of the EPIC shows that we need to have a policy shift. And this policy shift is for what? In order to have a good livable future. Now, the pollution results in burning eyes, irritation of nose, throat, coughing, choke, breath, asthma, apart from causing cardiovascular diseases. Recently, a media report labeled air pollution in Mumbai as death by breath. due to very unsatisfactory air quality index level. Bad air is not limited to Indo-Gangetic plates anymore, where the arguments of inversion of temperature and slowing down of wind speeds was considered as factor for poor air quality. The situation is getting bad even in India's coastal cities. So the report of the media, that was their report named is labeled as death by breath. Fine. Now the next one is the expansion of grey infrastructure. Why is the problem so acute in Indian cities? The overall development strategy of urban development in India, apart from proper execution of enforcement by agencies, needs a paradigm shift. The need now is to turn to sustainable and ecological urbanization, the trajectory of urban development where the focus is more on real estate development, a widening of roads allowing larger fuel guzzling vehicles on them, in turn squeezing the space meant for pedestrian and redevelopment are the major reasons for increased pollution in Indian cities. So they have also told about what that urban development. Now, when you talk about urban development, then you have this real estate sector, you have these roads, etc. So, all this is going to do what? This is going to increase pollution. Right? Road dust, concrete batching, pollution, polluting industrial units, their extension in cities, vehicular emission are key factors. It is estimated that motorized transport alone is the cause for 60% of urban pollution. That means uh, motorized transport cause of 60% pollution in urban. The green lungs of the cities, water bodies, urban forests, and green cover on urban commons and urban agriculture have all reported shrinkage, even as the green infrastructure has seen rapid expansion. Hence, the priorities need to be set right. Now, during winter in North India, there is a gulabu over the burning of paddy straw called parali as being the cause of smog. Now, this is partially true. The burning of paddy, primarily in Haryana and Punjab, only escalates the problem. But this is only a small and seasonal part of the problem. India's automobile sector has risen in value from $100 billion, expected to touch almost $160 billion by 2027, registering a growth of 8.1% between July 2023 to September 2020. Passengers and commercial vehicle sales. Okay, so passengers and commercial vehicle sales touched this much units. Now, while this figure is not only limited to urban India, it is clear that such growth must serve as an impetus to the new design of and direction to urban development. Now, widening roads, in turn, inducing people to buy more cars, while ignoring the fact that traffic snags are increasing each day, thus leading to more pollution levels in the not the way to go. Now, construction activity. So, if you see, they have said what that in the northern India, especially the cause or the reason behind the pollution, it is being said that it is because of burning of paddy straws. Then they said, okay, this could be one reason, but the automobile sector has also expanded, and that has expanded from $100 billion to $160 billion. Now, when this happened, what did they say? That apart from this, the urban development that has happened, And this comprises of what? Road widening, etc. This has led to more vehicles in. Now, when more vehicles in, this has again led to what? Increasing pollution. Uh, okay, now this was for urban development, and in urban development, there is one more parameter that they have referred now is your construction activities. Now, which are on the rise in almost every Indian city, contribute to roughly 10% of air pollution in the national capital region, that is your NCR. Now, there are hardly any steps being taken to monitor and control construction activities with formulated standard operating procedures that are your SOPs. City residents, unfortunately, have hardly any participatory role and are forced to become passive bystanders in the urbanization process. Now, focus on public transport. Now, there is a compelling need to have an alternative strategy of city building where the focus is on more on public transport, having secure pedestrian paths, bicycle lanes, which the creation of a post of bicycle officers regulating construction activities through standard operating procedures. Now, there is a need to be a good public transport with investment in buses for towns and cities. It is estimated that nearly 10 lakh buses would need to be added to the existing bus fleets to meet the demands of the urban mobility. Now, there must be firm initiatives that emulate the Jawaharlal Nehru National Urban Renewal Mission, that is JNUREM. Now, public transport must be made accessible and affordable to people, 85% of whom are in the informal sector. Now, strong steps need to be taken to control private motorized vehicular movement. A congestion tax being levied on private car owners driving due to peak driving during peak hours. Uh, just a minute. Driving during peak hours can be thought of. Likewise, what is going to happen is being levied on private car owners driving during peak hours can be thought of. Likewise, an odd number, even number plate formula can be another important intervention. Some cities have a no car day on certain days, an example that should be put into practice by those in power and with influence. Now, Delhi has a graded response action plan or TRAP. The moment air quality deteriorates, there are four different sets of activated based on quality of air. Such a mechanism must be adopted in other Indian cities as well. That means we are talking about the moment pollution gets worsened. The moment pollution gets worsened, or you can say it is getting higher, what is going to happen? You are going to bring in what? GRAP, that is your graded response action plan. Now, based on that graded response action plan, you are going to do what? This is activated so as to improve the air quality. Now, there should be zero acceptance of industrial pollution and real-time monitoring must become a reality. Now, there must be a strict supervision by residents instead of waiting for the statutory bodies to react, which urban local bodies can ensure. Now, urban commons, that means your ponds, water bodies, forests, parks, playgrounds, were another major areas that should not at all be allowed to be taken over by either public or private bodies for private gains. Urban communities must protect, nurture, and expand them. And methods influential book written in the 1950s, 60s, designing with nature, synthesized and generalized the ecological wisdom shaping landscape planning and design as a way to build our cities. However, our urban development strategies has been the inverse of that. Massive land use changes and the handing over of open spaces to real estate. Just a minute. Real estate developers do not look to be ending anytime. A city's ecology is one of the first casualties. Now, one of the first casualties for what? First casualties, and there's hardly any meaningful afforestation within a city. Now, how could the governance be strengthened? So-called solutions such as smog towers or even watering roads are just cosmetics. People's empowerment through the city's governance architecture is a firm step towards it. So, what they are saying is that what steps need to be taken. The first step they have said is your people's empowerment and city's governance. So, people's empowerment, city's government is first very firm step towards spending governance. Pollution guides and standard operating procedures for the various line department agencies must not only be made readily available to the people, but should also become a part of the way of life in the city. Now, when certain standard operating procedures were enforced without being challenged during the COVID-19 pandemic period, should not people come forward now and support implementation of odd even number rate formula? So, one is or even a no car day FTP. That means odd even rate formula and no car day. For this to happen, there must be a strong GRAP, that is a standard operating procedure. Likewise, the medical fraternity must support the putting out of a public health advisory. That means, other than all this, there should be a public health. We cannot afford to let our lives be shortened by reasons such as air pollution. The poor and the marginalized are the least contributors to pollution, but are the segment who are most exposed to it, who pays a heavy price. They need a better life. So the one who are who, the poor and the marginalized sectors or section are the worst. Fine. Okay. Let's move on to the next article. Now, tiding over. India's state should ensure greater compliance on air pollution. So, Delhi and parts of the surrounding states of Punjab, Haryana, UP encounter the annual air quality infection point. This is the time when the southwest monsoon has recorded, and with it, the great drafts in the upper atmosphere that normally flush out pollutants from the gamut of anthropogenic activities such as construction, driving, power generation, and burning of agricultural residues. So, if you see what the author is saying is that your upper atmosphere is getting polluted because of first construction activities, second driving, third is power generation, this burning of agriculture. Through the years, there have been studies commissioned and executive action initiated to study, acknowledge, and address the crisis. The science is also fairly clear on the relative contribution of pollutants and the limit of corrective interventions. The consequence of this is that air pollution crisis has now devolved into a stalemate. Now, the Commission of Air Quality Management, which is tasked with addressing the cause of air pollution in Delhi and the adjoining state, is now a body packed with expertise, but those powers are limited to evoking and recommending grades of measures depending on the degree of degradation. Now, while the Commission of Air Quality Management pointed out recently on October 31 that the daily average air quality in Delhi from January to October of this year was the best in the last 6 years, it is the fact that the number of days in November when air quality becomes severe has remained roughly the same. In 2022, the air quality index was in the severe category in the first fortnight. While there is greater awareness and action to curb the sources of pollution, which has been in recent years emerged as a critical month for pollution, remains to be taken. Incidents of stubble burning in Punjab, Haryana, and Uttar Pradesh this year have been roughly half that when compared to previous years. Now, though the weeks ahead are expected to see more such activity, while the measures earlier have seen an institutionalized response to tackle air pollution. Now it is now time for a concerted approach to address these challenges. Beyond stubble burning, this means addressing the more daunting challenge of vehicular pollution, construction dust. That means, all in all, what they're saying is that there is a vehicular pollution, then you have what construction dust. So, what you have is altogether is your vehicular pollution, construction dust, and your stubble burn. So based on this, what is happening is, while urban Delhi could have also blamed the distant farm fires for pollution crisis, tackling November may mean hard measure and greater interview. Bodies such as Commission for Air Quality Management have to assert that their independent credentials and ensure greater coordination and compliance within Delhi and surrounding states to address the challenge. Okay, now let's move on to the next one. So we'll do ahead of FATF views, that means Financial Action Task Force review center takes measure to implement suggestions. So that's now what is FATF? How FATF is working? So what you need to hear or what you need to know here is that how come this body came into being? How come things started happening? Yeah. So fine. Now, ahead of India's mutual evaluation by the FATF, the Union government has taken several measures to implement the intergovernmental body's recommendation made following the 2010 reviews, which includes notification of practicing this company secretaries, etc., as the reporting entities. Now, FATF carries out the review to determine whether its recommended measures to come money laundering, terror financing had been taken by the member countries, and if they are effective, India's one-side assessment is expected. Now you must know what that how is this FATF working? So what is the system in which they are operating? So first is FATF. Now how does it works on, or how does the work take place? So FATF does what? The review part. It takes action how, or how is the action happening? So the action is happening based on what? That whether if the country, or if the if there are issues with a certain country, then FATF is going to put them in various lists. And what are those lists? For example, one is your blacklist, one is your grey list. And when they are put in this respective blacklist and grey list, what is happening is there is what there is economic sanctions that are. And now the point is that what is FATF dealing with then? So FATF is basically dealing with what? Anti-money laundering. And when it is happening, what is the next thing? They are actually setting standards. Standards regarding what? Regarding your money laundering activities. Fine. Okay. Now let's do the other article. Okay, so here we have project. Bhutan came to meet PM today. Assam border project on agenda. That means Bhutan is going to meet who? Yeah. And what is the issue they are going to talk about is Assam border project. Now, Bhutan's fourth king landed in Delhi on Sunday ahead of talks with the PM. Now, while the foreign talks will receive the most interest in the Delhi, now what is India's concern? So, India's concern is over Dokla. The king's visit is understood to be prompted by an ambitious project Bhutan's plan on border with Assam. Now, in Delhi, the Bhutanese king was received at the airport. Now, the visit will further strengthen what close bonds friendship and cooperation with valued partners. Now, the Bhutanese king flew to Delhi, which was the first ever official visit. Now, he discussed connectivity infrastructure initiative with the CM, including the plans for the first India-Bhutan rail link, a 57-kilometer line connecting Kokrajhar and Jelepu, where Bhutan plans to build an international airport. So, what is the ambitious project is all about? So, the first project is about of India, Bhutan rail link. Now, India Bhutan rail link. This is a 57-kilometer line, and this 57-kilometer line is connecting what? This is connecting your Kokrajhar and Jelepu. Jelepu with connecting Kokrajhar and Jelepu, where Bhutan is planning to build an international. Fine. Now he will fly to Mumbai later this week and expected to meet with various business and industry leaders to speak about collaboration and investment in the Jelepu project, also called the Sarpan District Special Economic Zone. Now on December 17, Bhutan's National Day, the king is expected to formally announce the project, and his visit to India before that is a significant indicator of Bhutan's hope for India's involvement in the region and hub projects. Special economic zone would retain uniquely Bhutanese characteristics, including cultural and spiritual centers and environmentally sustainable businesses that also incorporate high technology innovation. Would seek to create jobs for Bhutanese youth who are moving abroad due to lack of opportunities within the country. Now, the first leader that His Majesty the King discussed the project with Bhutan's Prime Minister in an interview talked about what Zilfu as a gateway city. After the meeting between the two leaders, we understood what India will give Bhutan all support. Other than that, the king is second trip to India this year after this visit in April, which had also closely followed the announcement of project of Bhutan-China talks on resolving the border issues. The talk set off alarm bells in Delhi over the prospect of India's special friend and neighbor, which doesn't at present have diplomatic ties with China, now becoming more closely involved in trade and tourism with Beijing, while also sealing a border deal that would bring the Chinese PLA, that is China's army, Chinese party, People's Liberation Party. Now, speaking about this visit, where he had held the 25th round of border talks, Bhutanese Foreign Minister Tanvi Dorji told the journalists in Thimphu last week that the pace of border resolution with Beijing had been accelerating. New Delhi has not commented directly on the talks. Closely all developments with the national security. The second royal visit from Bhutan indicates it's mindful of those sensitivities, even as the king seeks new avenues for cooperation at Northeast. Okay, so if you see what is happening is altogether there's going to be a meet between the Indian PM and the Bhutanese king, Before that, China and Bhutan already had a boundary talk, and this was an alarming bell for India. And that is the reason why India also had to go with Bhutan's, Bhutan's talk, because Bhutan is one of the, it's a neighbor. At the same time, we are having a good friendly ties with Bhutan, so we have to keep Bhutan on pace. And if you see, we are having what Vietnam standoff, so Bhutan has helped us there. So India had to look forward towards this meeting, and in fact, after China met Bhutan, it was very important for us to step forward and meet Bhutan. Fine, let's move on to the next news. Now, if you see the article at your screen, against colonialism. Now, what is this? Now, if you see, it is saying that the members of root group Surabaya community, root group Surabaya community, this one, and reenactor Indonesia taking part in a taking part in a reenactment of the 1945 Battle of Surabaya between Indonesian nationalists against British and British Indian forces in Surabaya. Surabaya. So now, what you need to know about, here in this article is what is your Battle of Surabaya? This Battle of Surabaya is what? This battle is fought between what? Regular infantry and militia groups. And militia of what? Indonesian National. Sorry, militia of Indonesian Nationalist Movement. Yes. So the battle is fought between what regular infantry and militia of Indian National Movement. Now this one, and now this one is your first group, and the second group comprises of your British Indian troops, and this is what your part of Indonesian National Revolution. And why? See, the battle is fought between these two, groups. Fair enough. But the point is, what is the reason? So the reason they say is because they were against what? Reimposition of Dutch colonial rule. Right? And now what you see is that when the battle was formed, when the battle was fought, so the battle was the largest single battle of the revolution. That means it became a national symbol. Which battle? This battle of Surabaya. Now this became what? The largest battle. Largest single battle of revolution. And when it became the largest single battle of revolution, it became what? A national symbol also. So a national symbol of a national symbol of Indonesian resistance. Fine. Now considered a heroic effort by Indonesians, the battle, helped the what to assimilate who the Indonesian and the international support for Indonesian independence. So based on this, what is happening is that the 10th November is celebrated annually as Heroes Day. So based on this, 10th November is celebrated as Heroes Day. Fine. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so let's move on to the next article. And the next article is talking about. Now, here what you need to do is yesterday I have taken Zika virus in detail. So you can cover the Zika virus topic in, no, not yesterday, it was on 4th of November. 4th of November, I have covered Zika virus. You can go and cover the article over there. Now, here what you see is Wolbachia. Now, Wolbachia is a genus of bacteria that has evolved complex relationships with the many of the insects that can host it. It is named for the American pathologist Simon Birch. In 1971, researchers discovered that when male Culex mosquitoes infected by Wolbachia bacteria fertilize healthy eggs from a female, the eggs died. So the bacteria modified the male sperm cells in a way that only the bacteria could reverse. So if the female mosquito was uninfected, her egg cells would be damaged. But if female was infected by Bolsha, the eggs would be viable. If the male was uninfected or infected by some strains of Bulgaria. So what you need to know here is Bulgaria can reduce the rate at which chikungunya, yellow fever virus multiply in infected mosquitoes. Scientists have also found that some Wolbachia species can strongly protect some mosquito species against malaria parasites. So they are currently studying a way to have right strain of Wolbachia. Now, the right environmental conditions such as bacteria can suppress malaria transmission. If this is achieved, it will be a significant weapon in our millennium-long fight against mosquito-borne disease. So you need to know about the Wolbachia insects. This is an aerial view that shows a burnt forest in the Evros region near the village of Dadia in Greece. The European Union has said that Dadia fire was the largest in Europe's recorded history, and this is ravaging more than 900 square kilometers of land in 3 days. And this shall include a large chunk of biodiverse ecosystem, destroying swaths of pastoral land. So what they are saying is that this land is the image of a burnt forest, and the region is your Evros region. And this Evros region is where this is near the village of Nadia in Greece. Okay, and now who all are saying this? That is the European Union, EU, has said this that this Dadia fire is what this is the world's, or you can say the largest fire in Europe's recorded history. And recorded history, and how much is the area behind it? The area is more than 900 kilometers square, and this has happened in, like, what was the time period in which the fire has gone on to the Dadia, like Dadia Reserve, that is this whole village of Dadia, or the whole village, the whole forest area. So it has taken close to 3 days, and it has ruptured the entire biodiverse ecosystem. And when it has ruptured the entire biodiverse ecosystem, what has happened? It has destroyed the pasture land completely. So in this, what you need to know is about the growth station, etc. Fine. So thank you so much. I'll be meeting you tomorrow, and I think I have covered the entire newspaper. Thank you so much.